By the way, David Foster Foundation paid for the expenses, the entire expenses of Harry and Meghan while in Canada. They were flown by private plane. The hotel they stayed at was paid for by the David Foster Foundation. And let me tell you, they don't come cheap because Meghan Markle, as usual, is asking for insane demands.
That Harry sees him as a father figure, but I'm sorry, I've not seen these couples hang around for some time. And what makes it more awkward is the interactions between the couples on the carpet. It's definitely not a natural interaction that you would expect with friends that spend lots of time together, but it probably wasn't helped by Meghan doing what Meghan does best. And she actually starts directing the host, the founder, this man is the reason why they're even at this event. She starts telling David Foster where he should stand on the carpet. This is what Meghan does. We've seen this sort of behaviour all the time. This is her narcissism shining through loud and strong, but it didn't look like that David was that best pleased.
This situation has spiraled far beyond what anyone expected. It even looks like she pressured him into speaking out just to clarify, no, she wasn't slighting him. But if you carefully watch the footage, really pause, and study every moment on that red carpet, you'll see something striking. There's David Foster, an absolute legend in the music world. A man who's earned 16 Grammy Awards and single-handedly built an enormous charitable foundation. He's standing there, right in the spotlight of his own event. Then Meghan Markle approaches him and begins to give commands. She's literally pointing her fingers, directing the host on how he should position his body right there, just so for her camera shots. Think about that for a second. Who does this? Who walks into someone's celebration, their retirement party, no less, and starts telling the star of the night how to stand, how to act, on their own red carpet? It's staggering, especially when you consider this is a woman who earned praise as an executive producer on the documentary Cookie Queens, a project she joined at the very last minute. It was December 2025, just weeks before the Sundance Film Festival,
when they were talking to David and Catherine on the carpet earlier. Now, if you look at this photograph, you can see that Catherine is trying to talk to Meghan. Meghan is not interested. She is only interested in David Foster talking to Harry. And in this next photograph, it looks like Meghan has deliberately reached her arm across to her husband. So she's effectively blocked Catherine completely. You can see Catherine's mouth just above her left shoulder. This is the real Meghan, not the coy, sweet and shy one, the one that wants to make sure that all eyes are on her and be damned to anyone else around her.
When she swooped in, dropping her name onto the credits, purely to snatch the spotlight for herself. She acted as if that gave her some kind of cosmic right to control the flow of everything happening around her, especially in front of the prying eyes of international media. Yet, the film she tried to steer barely managed to pull in £250,000 across hundreds of theatres. Audiences saw right through the transparent ploy, the stunt exposed for what it was. And still, here she was, strutting around like the queen of the cinematic universe, her arrogance reaching truly unbelievable levels. But the disrespect didn't stop there. Oh no, it went much further. It wasn't just the host she tried to dominate. She directly disrespected Catherine McPhee's wife. As cameras zoomed in, capturing every second of the event's high-profile arrivals, footage clearly shows Meghan extending her arm in a blocking motion, physically cutting Catherine off mid-conversation, completely disregarding her presence to fixate instead on David Foster and Harry. The tension was palpable and painful to watch. Catherine McPhee's body language screamed of discomfort. She looked like she would rather be absolutely anywhere else on earth than standing awkwardly beside her.
Producer who's been in this industry for decades, who's dealt with monsters for decades, really talks. They turn simple positioning to get the best photo into a hurtful lie. No. David Foster did not write this statement. My belief is that Meghan Markle wrote this statement. Her PR team handed it on to Foster and McPhee, who reluctantly via their teams agreed to issue it to People magazine, which was a big mistake. The Royal News Network posting on this. This snub story is just sheer stupidity and demonstrates how bad Harry and Meghan's PR is and how the media is so hungry for stories that they'll amplify nonsense on social media for a headline. This is why associating with Harry and Meghan just isn't worth it.
A woman stood there, eyes wide and desperate, trying to soak up every single glimmer of light bursting from the camera flashbulbs, like she was capturing memories with her soul. But pause for a second and think about this. Imagine a day in the not-so-distant future when your own children, sitting beside you, quietly ask for just one more story. Maybe they want to hear about your childhood adventures, your secret family recipe, or a precious memory that has never left your heart but was never shared aloud. That's the very reason we created Remember Me. The family vault is your personal treasure chest, a special place to safely store those priceless stories, heartfelt words, and essential memories that your loved ones will treasure forever. Don't wait for someday to arrive. Make today the day to capture those beautiful moments. Just scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description below and start sharing your story now. But let's dive back into the story unfolding before us. Then, the moment that would send shockwaves all over the internet happened. Meghan turned, flashing a large, flawless smile, deliberate and polished, like a scene from a movie, and extended her arm in a warm, graceful gesture meant to charm the crowd. But David Foster, without even a flicker of recognition or eye contact, he turned on his heel and walked right past Meghan, heading straight toward his wife for a photo op on the other side of the room.
But then Meghan Markle goes out of her way to make him comment about it. And now it's a story, okay? Now it's a story. Why did you make a comment about it?
I really wrote this. As the host of the David Foster and Friends Foundation event, I had already greeted our friends, the Duke and Duchess, at the entrance 10 minutes before the red carpet encounter. They both graciously and selflessly gave their time and went beyond to engage with everyone. Harry and Meghan are dear friends of mine. Anyone watching can see there was no awkward moment and certainly no snub. It's sad that certain media, who you're talking to, choose to deceive by misrepresenting a red carpet encounter for clickbait. They turned simple positioning to get the best photo into a hurtful lie. Now, folks, I'm going to level with you here. Do you really think that's how David Foster talks?
The rejection hit like a splash of icy water, swift, merciless, and absolutely unmistakable. There stood the Duchess of Sussex, her arm frozen mid-air, like a flickering turn signal broken in full view of hundreds of flashing cameras, all capturing this unmistakable moment of public defeat. Now, if you're watching this facade unravel, layer after layer, and deep down you sense that you belong to a rare group who see through the polished smiles and carefully crafted PR narratives, do yourself a massive favor right now. Smash that subscribe button and become part of our Royal Report family. Every single day, thousands of sharp-eyed, relentless royal watchers, people who refuse to be fooled by rehearsed stories and staged appearances, are joining this channel. And if you're not on board yet, you're genuinely at risk of being left behind as the real story unfolds, revealing truths that others want to hide. The immediate fallout from that crushing red carpet snub sent the Sussex PR team into a whirlwind of panic and desperate damage control. As soon as the video exploded across social media, racking up millions of views and triggering a storm of harsh reactions,
They needing to show the world how much fun she's having and how fun she actually is. Well, the actress was on full display because after they left the carpet, where David and Catherine were then staying and being photographed with other guests, thankfully David could work out where to stand on the carpet without Meghan's guidance. Well, they then walked into where they were going for dinner and they walked through a line of bagpipers. And this is when Meghan went into full Meghan actress mode. She was giggling and doing that coy hand over face thing like she's a shy teenager. It was cringeworthy when she did it in her 30s. And now that she is pushing 50, I don't think it's got any better. It's just embarrassing because we know Meghan is not shy and coy and, oh, is this all for little old me? Meghan is not like that. This is the real Meghan. This is the real Meghan that we see marching up and down the carpets, that we see marching into fashion events, that we see marching into MasterChef. That is the real Meghan that is there, that loves the strut, that loves the attention. She is not coy. She is not shy. She's about as shy as Kim Kardashian.
The damage control briefings kicked into overdrive. Whispers from anonymous insiders flooded reporters with a strange defense. David Foster apparently never even noticed Meghan. Their excuse? An oddly flimsy story that Foster had always been a devoted admirer of Princess Diana. Take a moment to absorb how absurd that sounds. To disguise a painfully awkward social cold shoulder, they dragged in a beloved royal figure who had been gone for over 2 decades. Claiming Foster's affection for Diana somehow explains why he didn't acknowledge Meghan. It wasn't a logical reason, it was a clumsy, desperate attempt to create royal significance out of nowhere, just to distract from the real moment of embarrassment. When the Diana defense utterly failed and only fueled global ridicule, the spin doctors quickly flipped the storyline once again. This time, a new briefing insisted Foster was absolutely delighted to see the couple, reminding everyone they were neighbors in Montecito, a claim that didn't stop the public from seeing right through the increasingly obvious cover-up effort. The pressure quickly shifted squarely onto David Foster himself. Insider reports reveal that behind closed doors, Harry and Meghan applied intense influence, practically twisting Foster's arm until he reluctantly agreed to issue an official statement. But not just anywhere. This carefully crafted, ultra-polished message was handed exclusively to People magazine, setting the stage for a controlled narrative. In it, they insisted there had been no awkward encounter, no slight or snub at all. Instead, they portrayed the trio as dear friends, who had warmly greeted each other just 10 minutes earlier, accusing the media of fabricating a hurtful lie just to drum up sensational headlines. Now, hold on a second, take a closer look at that choice of words, a hurtful lie. Does that sound like the language of David Foster? The no-nonsense, tough-as-nails, old-school record producer who built his career yelling at rock stars in recording studios?
She decided to film her place setting, but what I found was very rude was someone was in the middle of an auction at the time. This is where people are listening, this is where people are bidding. I mean, could you imagine Harry and Meghan go into an auction and actually donating something that could be bidded on? Or, shock, Harry and Meghan put their hands in their own. But again, this shows a certain lack of class that we've come to expect from Meghan. But with Harry, I find it more shocking because this is a man that was brought up with manners and protocols. And I mean, he was a prince brought up inside the royal family. If anybody above anybody in that room should know about being polite when people are talking and polite table manners, it's him. But as for Meghan attending this event of their very dear friends and Harry's apparent father figure, role model, you would think that Meghan would have taken the time, seen as she posted on social media, to promote David's foundation, to perhaps draw attention to the incredible cause that it supports, thank him for the invite and the fantastic night that they had to her millions of followers. But nope, not a peep. And
since when does a man like Foster sit down and craft such delicate, emotionally loaded PR speak? Honestly, can anyone believe he personally drafted that message word for word? It's pretty clear that statement was not his own. It was the unmistakable handiwork of Meghan's skilled public relations team, carefully sculpting every phrase to control the story. From top to bottom, the entire scene was orchestrated like a well-rehearsed performance. They crafted the script, placed the pen firmly in his hand, and pressured him into signing all just to put an end to the public unraveling of her brand's image. For the sake of cheap headlines, something as simple as adjusting a pose to capture the perfect photo was twisted into a damaging falsehood. Now, let me be honest with you here. Do you truly believe that's how David Foster would speak? Meanwhile, at a charity auction hosted by Dick, where the goal was to raise funds for seriously ill children, Meghan took out her phone and began meticulously recording every moment of her personal narrative. She captured clips of her custom-designed menu and elegant wine glasses, clearly more focused on creating content than the cause itself. Later on, as haunting traditional Scottish bagpipes filled the entrance with a solemn tribute, she deliberately filmed herself walking past the musicians, loudly proclaiming how much her husband adored bagpipes. This intrusion completely disrupted Harry, who had been engaged in a quiet, respectful conversation with the musicians. Every single action she took, every movement, every word, every glance was crafted with one purpose: to perform for the camera. There was no real warmth, no genuine connection. It was all a stage display for the perfect shot. There was no quiet empathy, no genuine connection to the heartbreaking cause, just an overwhelming, insatiable craving to keep the spotlight fixed solely on her. This desperate need for attention crossed every boundary and finally reached a boiling point during the evening's most somber moments, when heartfelt conversations were unfolding about grieving families mourning the loss of their children. Cameras captured Meghan seated at her table with a stiff, unnatural grin locked on her face, utterly lacking any hint of the sorrow or respect the occasion demanded. Behind the scenes, reports emerged of a tense off-camera moment where she was heard sharply demanding Harry to get up and perform on stage, desperately trying to spark a viral spectacle that would draw attention back to their table. Harry, dressed in a tight, uncomfortable tuxedo, appeared thoroughly exhausted, utterly defeated, and deeply embarrassed. He sat frozen, unable to respond or manage the growing storm of frustration radiating from his wife. The question lingered in the air: why did Harry remain paralyzed in silence as his world seemed to unravel around him? Why would Meghan push so hard to be at the very forefront of California's high society scene? Because Prince Harry understands a truth she seems to struggle with. He was born into the royal framework, the very heart of tradition and legacy. He's intimately familiar with what true power looks like: quiet, unwavering, and earned without a single show of force. Harry knows that genuine prestige doesn't shout or throw tantrums on a red carpet. It doesn't resort to confrontations or make a spectacle out of pointing fingers. And it certainly never coerces an 85-year-old music icon into signing a manufactured public relations statement just to prove popularity or approval. Sitting there, Harry's gaze is fixed downward, heavy with realization. In their relentless chase to morph into global Hollywood superstars, they've willingly traded the deep-rooted, historic grace of royalty for something far more fleeting and far less dignified, cheap, second-rate celebrity scandal. The whole situation is drenched in irony. They left the royal family, citing the need for privacy, desperate to escape the relentless glare of cameras and media scrutiny. Yet, the very moment they stepped away from those royal walls, what did they do? Once they settled into the glamorous world of Montecito, their approach was anything but subtle. They didn't just attend charity galas, they orchestrated private camera crews to trail them everywhere, ensuring every moment was captured for maximum exposure. They even went as far as staging paparazzi shots in dimly lit parking lots, crafting the perfect image of celebrity allure. On the red carpet, they fought tooth and nail for every inch of space, determined to dominate every frame and steal every spotlight. Privacy wasn't their goal. They sought total control over the spotlight itself. But here's the twist: when you demand the center stage without possessing the genuine talent, relentless work ethic, or even a shred of humility to back it up, the very spotlight you crave begins to backfire. Instead of dazzling the audience, it starts revealing every hidden flaw, every insecurity you desperately wanted to keep under wraps. On the political front, it's clear who holds the real influence in the race for power. Even amidst a global pandemic, where traditional campaigning faces unprecedented challenges, she still wields the power of social media to amplify their message and support their foundation's mission. Yet, when it comes to gaining genuine attention for the right reasons, rooted in expertise and authenticity rather than mere spectacle, those efforts often fall flat. It's a stark reminder that in both fame and politics, substance always outshines superficial showmanship. As we wrap up this journey, it's clear: chasing the spotlight without the substance to hold it doesn't just lead to failure, it exposes every bit of what you're trying to hide. True success comes when talent, effort, and integrity stand firm beneath the glare. If you've enjoyed this deep dive story, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe for more revealing tales, share it with friends who love a good story, and drop your thoughts below. I want to hear what you think about this fascinating rise and struggle for fame and power.